Hello, Kootenai County. We're here again with one of the county commissioners. This is Marc Eberlein, and he is running for Kootenai County Commissioner.
Yes.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us. We're going to just ask you a few short questions, and then you can tell us and your voters what you think on the issues. Okay? First question is, why are you running for office?
Why am I running for office? How are our children going to afford to live in Kootenai County with these prices of properties and houses, apartments, rental houses? We have to come up with some way to fix that problem, or else our children are going to have to go to some other place to live out of the area and away from their families, which is a destruction of the normal family protocol from centuries. That's my biggest concern.
And a valid one. And what are your top 3 priorities should you be elected?
I want to cut spending. The last budget that I worked on was in 2019, the fiscal year 2019 budget, and it was $90 million and change. Today, it's up to $143 million in a scant few years. That's a huge increase. It's trending annually at some 11 to 12%. And that is a big problem. It just keeps going up and up and up. How do you go from $90 million up to $143 million? So you're almost $50 million above. And so what's the cause of that? It's spending. A budget, when you create a budget, the function of it is to get all the ducks in a row so everybody can have enough tools and materials to be able to operate with their departments, whether it be assessor or prosecuting attorney or sheriff or whatever it happens to be. Well, I say that Santa Claus came to town after we left, because that's a huge increase, and it's far higher than the inflation rate it was. It still is. If you look at it, it was some 3%, a couple 3 years ago. So how are we getting all this inflationary budgeting process, and the budgeting process? That's how you determine the property taxes. So for my own philosophy, the county commissioners and all the other elected officials, their representatives, and especially the commissioners, are representatives for the people. And we're supposed to be watching over as watchdogs for the people. And so oftentimes, people can be too sympathetic with some of the departments. They want that widget over there. Well, that widget costs $100,000. Is it really necessary? Well, yeah, it is. We could surely use the thing. Well, is it actually necessary to operations? The county commissioners should be cutting the budgets as low as possible to minimize the impact of property taxes for people.
Right. And what are your thoughts on growth? You touched a little bit about that on your first question, and how it will impact Kootenai County over the next 10 years.
Growth is a function of private industry. And so you see all the building that's going on around us now. Somebody wanted to build, and somebody wanted to buy those properties. And so how do you dictate, if you're going to have private property rights, you can't have it both ways to where the government dictates what you can and cannot do in a place. Otherwise, we're hypocrites if we proclaim property rights. And so one of my pet peeves is when you have a development should pay for itself. And by that I mean the builders come in, they put in the streets, or the developers come in, they put in the streets and the fire hydrants and all that stuff. Who pays for the schools? Who pays for the fire departments? Who pays for the police stations? And so typically what happens is they'll give a pocket of land over here. Well, there's a place over here. We'll let you have it, and you can build a school over there, or you can build a fire station over here. When the area itself is needing those same services, whether it's EMS or emergency medical systems, why don't they build a building? It's part of the infrastructure in my idea. Right. And so why don't they take care of the whole thing? Because it's just a part of it. When in building, everybody gets taxed on their property valuations. Well, the builders have they have a way to work around that in some sort of a manner. They can keep the properties at the same tax valuation as it was when it was a field. And as each different home is sold, then it goes on to the property tax rolls. And so it could be a block of time. It might be, they might put the roads in. If we made an improvement on a piece of property, then all of a sudden, we would have a property tax bill that was high. But the developers, they have this mechanism that allows them to not pay any property taxes on it until the property is actually sold, which to me, I think it's kind of cheesy.
So what you're saying is that's similar to the Melrose in California that they do for new development? Okay, I'll tell you about that after.
Okay. I'm only worried about Idaho and Kootenai County in particular.
That's right. Okay, so what is your background and how will it impact Kootenai County should you be elected?
Well, I was a county commissioner for 4 years. Prior to that, I had a very successful high-end custom cabinet shop. We did multi-million-dollar projects, and we didn't do developments. Most of our projects were in California, very high dollar. We've done some up here in Post Falls and Coeur d'Alene area. Most of those are private. I can't even show photographs or anything of the projects, but in California, was our primary market, and we would ship product down to California from up here, and the cost of living up here was good in comparison to California. I spent 18 years logging, cutting trees down and skidding logs, and I'm an inventor. I have one patent that was done. I was a former gunsmith. I like the only things in my life that are stable was my wife. Oh. And I get bored with something and
try something new.
Yeah, it just, if you don't have, if you're bored, it's the spice of life just kind of goes out. And I like doing different things. And good. I've been up in Alaska as a machinist up there in the canneries, and that was just a 3-month lark, but, it paid for the startup of the cabinet shop too. So anyway. Good.
All right, so give us your closing statement. Anything you think that the voters of Kootenai County should know about you, or anything in particular that you want to cover?
Wow. Well, a little bit about me. So my guiding lights are God, family, and country, period. Those are my guiding lights, and I'm also a life member of the National Rifle Association. We need to be taking care of public safety, and public safety is is the largest single budget that goes on. That's the sheriff's office. But we need to, it's essential in order for us to be able to have a peaceful living. We, as commissioners, need to properly fund the sheriff's department and the EMS and the fire departments so that we can have a good life here and be safe. And we have to get these property taxes down, and that is a function of the budgets and how property taxes react. One of the things that scares me to death of some of these, as fast as it's escalating in cost, then all of a sudden, we could find ourselves in dire straits. And one of those dire straits, the worst one for the property taxes, is known as foregone taxes. And foregone taxes is, if I say that I need this pen today, okay, but I've also got 3 other pens sitting beside it. So if I need to, I can go back and claw back these pens. And it works that way with property taxes. The commissioners can set a budget that includes up to 3% of property tax valuation escalated. But they could also go back a long, long ways and claw back those foregone property taxes. So all of a sudden, your property taxes in a worst-case scenario could be up to 50% higher or even 100% higher. Because, and there's cities and there's counties in the United States that have gone through that problem, and it's horrible.
Yeah.
And so right now, with all the spending we're doing, I don't see how you go from, it's going to be probably mostly salaries. We need to keep a tight rein on that. And the commissioners are the ones, they are the people's representatives to oversee the government activities. That's all they're there for. And they have certain processes, and that's why they set the budgets. And that's the people, who the people work for, or they work for. And it's getting pretty tough right now. There's a lot of spending.
Yes. Anything else you want to cover?
I could jabber for hours, but I don't want to.
Well, whatever you think the public, it's important for the public to hear about you.
Well, I can pull off a couple little things off this. I can, cut wasteful spending while properly funding essential services. An ounce of prevention is a pound of cure when you're dealing with plan for responsible growth. Stop government overreach. Mandates have no place in free society. Responsible stewardship of public funds and transparency and accountability.
There you go.
So,
All good points. Okay, so that's a wrap. Thank you guys for listening and getting to know your candidates, and make it your vote count in May
21st.
21st. May 21st. Thank you all.